do together is that we learn together. To be a disciple is to be a learner, and so we are a community of learners. I just want to bring to you a word that I think is a really helpful word, a word that perhaps is misunderstood and we miss out on some of the depth of its meaning in different ways. And that word is the word vocation. Vocation. I don't know if that's a familiar word. It's a bit of an old word from the Latin, vocatio, to call. I think we misunderstand that word in a few ways that means we miss out. Often we apply it to our career, our job. If you have vocational guidance, you're going to get help to work out what job to do. Job is included in vocation, but it's much bigger than that, at least in a Christian sense of this vocation. One really good writer is a bloke called Paul Stevens. If you come across any of his works, I'd recommend you read them. And he says this: vocation is experiencing and living by a calling. That's the word, calling. It's doing it in such a way that it provides a fundamental orientation to everyday life. It's all the values and tasks and dreams and hopes and activities that we do, the things that God calls us to himself to see evident in our lives, including our work, but not limited to that. This is the call of God to us. The call to be with him, to work for him and with him, which includes our jobs. It's important that we talk about our daily job, whether it's paid work or unpaid work. The stuff that you do most in your working hours is important to God, not just the couple of hours you spend on a Sunday here with his people. So in some senses, I don't want you to hear a contradiction there. Vocation is much bigger than our job, but it includes and reshapes how we approach our work. Working is important to God. It's part of that one response, as we are called, to him and for him as he sends us out into the world. Paul writes about responding to that call of God to us in lots of his letters. For example, in Ephesians chapter 4, he says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. And here I think is where our discipleship can malfunction. Often we think of the calling of God is to believe in him, to be thankful that he saves us, that we have a destiny to be with him, and then we're done. And we get together as church to remind each other to keep on believing, and if you're extra good, be thankful for that. All of those things are true, but it's a shortening of what that salvation and what that calling means. We are to live out in response or as part of that calling to God, to live for God. Vocation is wrestling with that understanding of, well, how do I live now? How do I walk worthy of that calling in daily life? It seems that Christians struggle with this from the very early days. So Paul writes some other letters to a place, Thessalonica in Macedonia, in the top of Greece there. And he says, I want you to pay careful attention to daily life. You've heard this message of Jesus and you've responded to it, but don't let it stop. Don't let it short circuit. Keep listening to this call. Or if I can switch the metaphor, allow it to keep reframing how you see things. As you listen, it changes your perspective on daily life. And that's what we're exploring together today. When Paul, as he continues these letters to the Thessalonians, he does what he usually does in his letters. I don't know if you've read many of Paul's letters. They have a pretty similar pattern. He encourages and affirms what he likes. He'll often hold up models to picture for others. He'll invite people to change and switch around, and he'll also give some warnings that, well, these are the consequences if you don't. And Thessalonians follows that same sort of pattern. He starts with commendation and affirmation, and he says these amazing words. We always thank God for all of you and continually mention you in our prayers. What's he praying? We remember before our God and Father your work produced by faith, your labour prompted by love, and your endurance inspired by hope in our Lord Jesus Christ. You're probably familiar with the faith, hope and love triad. He always mentions those things. Often the one that's placed last is the one he wants to emphasise. So in Corinthians, it's love that's placed last because that's where they're struggling. For these guys, it's hope. It seems that they've thought, well, now we have this relationship with God, it doesn't matter what we do now. There is no endurance in daily life for living out this as we face hostility, persecution in the world, and so we give up. And Paul says, no, your faith, your love, your hope need to be outworked in daily labour. And he's not just talking about Christian ministry. As you read on through the letter, he's talking about your daily job, what we also call our vocation. Live for the kingdom. Come to me, says Jesus, go for me. That's the other Latin word that we're using, the word mission. Missio means to send. The call to come to God and to go for God is the one call. It's not two different things. Paul goes on to model some encouragement. Now, about your love for one another, we do not need to write to you. For you yourselves have been taught by God to love each other. And in fact, you do love all of God's family throughout Macedonia. Yet, we urge you, brothers and sisters, to do so more and more, and make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your hands, just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders, and so you will not be dependent on anybody. Work is part of our discipleship, says Paul. Your daily work. There's an expression of that, our love for God, in the things that we do. What we produce is valuable. And Paul, against the philosophers of his day, emphasises manual labour as valuable. For them it was degrading. If you wanted to be a philosopher, you didn't work with your hands. Paul said, no, the opposite. What you produce helps people. It's an expression of love. So your daily job counts. You need to be responsible. And it all emerges from this relationship you have with God. Then he says, let me encourage and upbuild you in that. Just jumping through to the end of the letter in chapter 5. Now we ask you, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge those who work hard among you, who care for you in the Lord and who admonish you. Hold them in the highest regard in love because of their work. Live in peace with each other. And we urge you, brothers and sisters, warn those who are idle and disruptive. Encourage the disheartened. Help the weak. Be patient with everyone. Make sure that nobody pays back wrong for wrong, but always strive to do what is good for each other and for everyone else. Do good for one another and everyone else in the world. This new vision of life is what Paul is getting them to think. This reframing, to see this together. As they hear the call of God, this is for us as well. How do you see your daily life as an expression and outworking of your relationship with this Jesus whom you call Lord? That's what we do as a community together, to try and outwork that and understand that. It seems they didn't get it. And so Paul had to write another letter. And this time he gets even more pointed. To Thessalonians, he says this: in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we command you, brothers and sisters, to keep away from every believer who is idle and disruptive and does not live according to the teaching you receive from us. For you yourselves know how you ought to follow our example. We were not idle when we were with you, nor did we eat anyone's food without paying for it. On the contrary, we worked night and day, labouring and toiling, so that we would not be a burden to any of you. We did this not because we do not have the right to such help, but in order to offer ourselves as a model for you to imitate. For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule: the one who is unwilling to work shall not eat. We hear that some among you are idle and disruptive. They are not busy, they are busybodies. Such people we command and urge in the Lord Jesus Christ to settle down and earn the food they eat. And as for you, brothers and sisters, never tire of doing what is good. Paul says this vocation is for everyone. It's for all people to hear this calling and live out in daily life. Christians have often used this word vocation to refer just to some of us. In the Catholic traditions, you have a vocation if you're a nun or a brother. For some of us, the call of God has an extra call for we who are pastors or specially sent missionaries across the world. We've got to have this extra call. No such thing. There is one call of God for all his people to respond and live for him in all our various ways. There is no one who doesn't have a vocation who is a Christian. If you are not out living this calling, you are not following Jesus, says Paul. It applies to all of us, not just we professional bigwigs, but every person in this place that they find themselves. It's an ongoing listening. It's not a once-off thing that you hear the call of God. It's a daily posture. Where is God leading me? What does he want me to do? How does he want me to do it? With whom do I do it? Are there new things that he wants me to do? An ongoing process. And notice the last thing. In all of those passages, the thing that we never see. When Paul writes to the church and he says the word you, it's always a plural. You guys together. You need to see this together because it's hard to follow Jesus in daily life. How do I do it? That's why we need one another's help to discern and alert one another to the call of God. We respond as a community. That's part of our DNA as his people, helping one another to live daily lives in service for Jesus as King. All I've tried to do is help us reframe, to see as we listen to the call of God how our lives might be different and to do this together. In that passage, Paul gives encouragements and affirms what is good. He speaks of models, whether of himself or others. He says this is for everyone. And he says if you don't do this, your faith is malfunctioning. I've given you the theory. Now we're going to get to the practice. You might be wondering why I'm attired as I am today. Can anyone tell where I'm from? Where am I from? I am from West Pymble. I'm dressed in Mongolian clothes, correct, well spotted. We're going to meet somebody who's been part of our church for a long time. I think she was 11 when she came here. It's a mystery girl. She's one of our deacons. But there's a connection that we're going to make, and she's going to tell us a bit about one of the projects that we're supporting through this time together. This is Steph Chen, if you haven't met her before, and she's going to take over from now. Thanks, Steph.
Hey everyone, so I am Steph and I am an optometrist. I was going to say you might know me also for, when you had news like in January that my niece had died, and so that was me and my family, and I really appreciated just the support that everyone has provided in this community. I just wanted to say that up front, because that has really meant a lot to our family and for me, and your sensitivity with it all. So that has been part of my life the last few months, but I'm not going to talk about any more about that. I am somehow an example that John wants to bring something out of today from talking about vocation. I do feel like a lot of my life I have actually been quite idle, but maybe there are some. I'll just tell you what I've been doing and you can see what there is there. So I am just going to talk a little bit about my journey of seeing, because it has been quite one. I am an optometrist, and it means I do help people see with it, but I have also struggled to actually understand the benefits of the job that I do, and it's been a bit of growth. I'll just start a little bit with my family. You can read that too, just looking back. Looking back. So a little bit about my family. There's actually been 7 generations of Christians in my family, and that lady on the left is the first one, my great-great-great-great-something grandma. He became a Christian in China as a result of Hudson Taylor coming to her village. And then as a result of that, a lot of her village actually became Christians because of her witness. And there's a photo of her like with 2,000 people in it at her funeral. And that's my parents as well. And so they've actually brought me up kind of with a very kind of God-focused and looking out for others kind of background. So we always had people staying over. Anyone who was coming from overseas, we would kind of always be so welcoming, and they'd have them over and always kind of be trying to help people out. So I really appreciate like everything that they've given me to make me who I am now too. And so they've kind of exposed me to a lot of Christian faith and just that vision that God has given for the whole world, and like through church as well. I've learnt just about God's passion for the poor and just to bring justice in the world as well. So you see here, like this is Jesus talking about kind of his mission activity in the world, and part of it is like it does. The Spirit of the Lord is on me because he's anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight to the blind, which can apply to me, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favour. And I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. One thing I wanted to do is just actually get you thinking about the impact of like what it's like to have a vision problem. I might actually do an activity. I did this in Altogether, but I might get you guys to do it too. I have some simulation glasses, and I want some volunteers, maybe just 2 or 3, just to see what it's, to try these glasses on and have a go at telling us what it's like to look with them. Anyone game? Yes, I am. Everyone's like, no.
I don't need them. I'm already
All right, try these ones.
Take these off?
No, leave them on.
Oh.
Leave your glasses on. And this one is called...
Come on, why didn't someone else come out?
You're brave, thank you. This is called retinitis pigmentosa.
I can't see a thing.
But what? You can't see a lot, but you can actually see some things. Tell us what you can see.
That's terrible. There we are. Now what do I see?
So what part of me can you see?
Oh, I can see your... If I stand back here, I see you clearer. And, yeah, I can see your face. But looking out there is hopeless. Yes.
Can someone wave in the audience? Can you see where they're waving? Can you point to them?
No. There.
Okay. So there's all these parts of the room, that you're missing, right?
That's terrible.
So this is actually called tunnel vision. So some eye conditions cause this, and so you can only actually see straight in front of you. What you tell us?
Too.
Yeah.
With other things coming in from the sides, like other lights coming in. It's horrible.
Thank you.
Oh.
You can take them off now.
Very good. Get someone else to do.
Anyone else game? Just one. Okay. Actually do this one. So this is actually long-sightedness, hyperopia.
I think I can focus if I cross my eyes.
You can kind of see people's faces, what expressions they have.
I think I can see people's faces if I cross my eyes.
Okay, yeah. So she's straining a lot actually to focus things. Okay, what about if I'll give you just something to read.
Yeah.
What's that like?
I can read. Yeah, it's okay for reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does
It's
it feel?
worse for further away from me. It does hurt my eyes. I'm definitely straining. I feel sort of sick, but I can read.
Yeah. Cool, thank you. So with long-sightedness like that, actually, she said, yeah, she can read, but it actually takes a lot of effort to actually focus the eyes. And actually with kids, that's actually one of the hidden kind of eye conditions and that actually affects their schooling the most because they kind of pass all the screening tests because you can actually kind of see the letter charts okay sometimes, but actually when they're trying to read for any period of time, they can't actually focus for very long. And so they might actually be hyperactive and moving around everywhere, or they might not like reading and not like studying and just do kind of not so well in school as they could. And you probably got amongst you, we all have some different eye conditions as well. And I guess you guys know a little bit what it's like not to have good eyes and good sight. So my work has been all over the place. So I've mainly actually recently done lots of work in schools in Western Sydney, so doing lots of stuff with kids and getting them glasses. And I've also worked in Northern Territory and New South Wales. So you can see all the dots, that's where the different places I've worked. So I'm a little bit ADHD that way, just going everywhere. And these are all the countries that I've worked in overseas as well. Because if you notice, even in Australia, we have optometrists everywhere, right? Even down in Gordon, there's like 5 optometrists where you can get your eyes checked. And in Chatswood, there's like 17 optometrists. And then there's all the suburbs in between where there are optometrists. So we've got so many resources here. But there's, like even in Western Sydney and Northern Territory, it's not as easy to get eye tests. But in these other countries across the world, it is even harder. Let me just tell you a little bit about some of the countries I've been to. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my journey to where I've got to now, just by going through some of my different experiences. That's just to give you an idea of actually the places I've been over the 20 years. I started 20 years ago, 2000 actually, when I was in final year of uni, and gone to somewhere pretty much most years, sometimes 2 or 3 places. I've been there for like 2 weeks to 1 year or 3 months in different places. And I've just learnt a lot along the way. So, firstly, Indigenous Australia. So these are places that are really, really far away. I've been to some of the really remotest communities in Australia, in the Northern Territory and stuff. So you've got to go really far, and it takes travel, and the communities are really small. They speak their own language. It's like a different country out there sometimes. But there are lots of beautiful people out there. So I've learned, I guess, what it's like to travel and to provide eye care and, all the things that are needed to be able to do that. And the kind of eye care, the programs for glasses and how you get it out to there and out to those places, how you get equipment out to do your eye tests. Bangladesh was the first place I went, or one of the first places I went overseas, and I did this thing called, they all had these surgeries for cataracts, and to see, they actually needed super thick glasses to, and so I travelled around to different villages and stuff, and they were queuing sometimes all day, but there was, somehow people had walked for 2 days to come and see me as well. So I really got impacted by, I guess, the desperation that people had to actually get eye tests and glasses. If you have a look at this picture here, what do you notice about some of the glasses there that they're wearing? They're cloudy, yes. Yeah, they've got damaged over time. What else? Broken and repaired very creatively. This one?
One's upside down.
Yes. That one, right? So she had actually had the lenses made and put in the wrong eyes. So the right was in the left and the left was in the right. And so the only way she could see was actually by turning her glasses upside down. So that's how she came in. And she couldn't afford to get anything else. Or probably didn't even know. So those people have had a big impact on me. But I also heard about stories of people who I couldn't necessarily improve their vision. They had really bad cataracts. The local people told me about these people, the people who were absolutely blind, and they kind of got so blind that they ended up just living in the corner of their house and not being able to do anything because they couldn't actually, they were ladies who, they used to be able to cook and look after the family and go out and do things, but because they couldn't see, they just had to stay home all day because you couldn't actually figure out where to go. They didn't have anyone to help them because their family were all busy working. So they always required assistance, but they couldn't have assistance, so they were just stuck and isolated and they got really depressed. And so when they had surgeries, which is a different thing that I don't deal with, but like it's just an absolutely life-changing experience for them, where they can suddenly socialise again, they can kind of meet their friends, meet their relatives, and life just is transformed. So I've been to China as well, Western China, and I went to these rural schools in this province called Gansu, into this rural... so there was lots of kids there who are short-sighted, like a lot of our kids here are short-sighted, often comes being Asian as well. So that was just doing lots of clinical work. There's so much need. They all need so many need glasses, and some of them like really struggle to see the board in class. Like they're really super blurry. They'd have to really come up close to be able to see. But one of the things that really struck me was like more actually after I got home, I actually got a message from one of the ladies who I was working with, who was helping me with the glasses and who delivered the glasses to the people. And they wrote back and said, there's this girl who I prescribed glasses to, but she can't, they're minus 20 glasses, like super, super bad eyes. She couldn't wear the glasses, and what do I do? And from here I was like, I can't do anything. I can't even, figure out what the problem is with the glasses. Like, it could have been so many things. It could have been the wrong power, could have been how they were made, could have been, the way they were adjusted on the face, so many things. So I've had other experiences as well. So Bangladesh and Myanmar. So I've learnt different things in these places. So I did some vision screening, or I just got exposed to different vision programs there, where they were integrating eye care into the community in different ways. So I kind of got to learn, like these teachers that got taught how to do vision screening there, and then they linked with different eye kind of refractionist people, that we called them there, to actually get the eye tests. And then there was also eye doctors so there was different levels of people who were doing the work. And so I kind of got exposed to that in Bangladesh, and also just about how they worked with different community groups. So there was community awareness groups as well, but they also linked the vision screening with kind of vocational training and literacy programs and things like that, just acknowledging that, vision is so crucial to being able to do all these other things in life. So that's been pretty formative for me as well. And just also they had kind of educational workbooks and flip charts, things like that, just to educate kind of in an easy to understand way, to teach people about what the different eye conditions are, so they knew actually how to get, what they needed to look for when there was an actual problem with the eye, and then where to go to get the eyes checked. Okay, Mongolia, where we're waiting to go to. So I've been Mongolia is actually really like Australia, and maybe that's kind of why I like it. It's kind of this vast space and all these tiny little communities spread out everywhere, and then there's some major cities as well. So I've actually travelled to most of the provinces, actually all of the provinces, and actually some of those pictures are from like the really, really far provinces, and I'll show you some clinic pictures in a sec, which actually are from there. They live in these gears, some people that are nomads, and we've got a lot of kind of a experience of a gear in the back there if you want to have a look later. So they can kind of pack up their tents and just move to different places around the place depending on the seasons and things like that. So I've started off doing eye clinics in Mongolia as well. I first went there in 2003. And so this is a clinic over here where it was like 1,800 kilometres from the city. So it's like those people had never had eye tests before. They hadn't actually ever seen a foreigner before, so I was a bit of an interest for them. But for those people in these really far places, it's like having to travel from past Adelaide to come to Sydney just to get a pair of glasses. Like even further than that, halfway across Australia, just for a pair of glasses. So back then, there was no one really being able to do good job here to get glasses for people. But now, I realise that, me coming in and out, it only has really limited impact. Like, I can just help a few people here and there, like 100 people here, 100 people there. But as I was saying, you need people on the ground in those places full time to be able to give them the care they need every day, and to be able to repair the glasses, to be able to change prescriptions as people's eyes change, to be able to just deal with all the different problems. So I've been doing this training. So I've been training the local eye doctors to be able to actually do the eye tests well. And so far I have, we've trained actually one doctor for every province in the country at least now, and we're kind of still increasing the number of people that we're training and starting to train more people in the city as well. So that's meaning that where we're just able to serve so many more people. So there's like a stat that I have, which is like 40,000 kids and adults are being tested by all these doctors each year now because of, the training, not because of the training, but doing it better because of the training. Refraction. Yeah, that's the fancy word for learning how to prescribe glasses properly. So it's a bit of an art. So there are actually, I'll just say it now. I think this happens in a lot of the world as well, but there is machinery that people use. There's computers called autorefractors that you put your head in the machine and it gives a reading for the glasses, and often it's in Australia, optometrists use it actually just as a starting point for prescribing glasses, but we never actually prescribe from those results. But in a lot of countries, and including Mongolia, I was hearing that it happens in China as well, there's lots of untrained people who have these autorefractors in their shops, and even the eye doctors, they also do it, they have it, and then they prescribe glasses from it, and then people come back and they can't wear their glasses. They're dizzy, or they get headaches, or they just throw them away because they're just really uncomfortable, because those aren't actually accurate for comfortable vision. And especially with kids, they're really, really, really bad. So for us to kind of get good sight to kids, we really need to teach people the good techniques for testing vision. Okay, back to this. I just wanted to talk about some of the partnerships that I've had over the years, which have also shaped me and just kind of have helped me direct where I'm going, where I've come to actually in my life now. So right at the beginning, when I went in 2003, I worked with a British optometrist called Richard Young, and he'd been living there for several years, and he'd actually taught Dr. Nara, who's in the middle picture there with me. So she was actually for many years like the best refractionist, best kind of person who could prescribe glasses in the whole country. And so lots of other people would actually, other doctors would refer people to her when they weren't sure what to do. And so they taught me they took me out to the really far reaches of the country in that first year in 2003. And so I really got to know Mongolia really well, and how the kind of nomadic people lived and how just life was so different out in those places. But also they taught me how to do clinics in ways that was accessible to people. So if you notice here, we're testing in someone's house, just in the bedroom, because that's the only way we could do it. And that's someone else's house as well, but there's other pictures of where we're testing in someone's kitchen, and there's people walking past kind of to do their cooking thing in as well. Okay, so another key person that we've been working with in a group is Orbis and my friend Chimge. So Orbis is another eye care NGO, and they've been doing lots of work in Mongolia as well. And my friend here, Chimge, our colleague, she has taught me basically all about Mongolian eye care and just all the different relationships there are, all the different lot of politics there are within the groups, but just she has relationships with the government and the ministries of education, the president, advisors to the president, Ministry of Education, all these different groups, and has been able to, over the years, just kind of slowly influence people, and her passion is really to get eye care out to all reaches of Mongolia. She's always had this passion to get doctors in the provinces trained, as partly as a way of actually improving the whole system there. I've also connected with her to lots of other international experts as well, and so that has been amazing. And some of these people have been like paediatric professors, so eye doctors from the US and Malaysia who've been working in kind of really eminent roles. So there's Professor Bruce, like was Boston Children's Hospital and kind of came from Harvard, and Professor Ai Hong, Malaysia, and they both have specialists in different areas of paediatrics. So Bruce was really amazing at like kids under 5 and all the different eye conditions that happen there. And the Malaysian professor kind of is specialist in the kind of the school-age kids, and which has a whole new set of issues that people can get there. So I've really learnt about the need for partnerships with different people across the world and different experts. So not just kind of me doing my thing, but kind of connecting with lots of professionals and getting kind of experts in all different fields kind of to come together and kind of build towards this goal. Okay, that's a little bit about my background, and actually we have a Mongolian doctor here, He's part of my team, Uno, and so I want him to actually come up and just tell us a little bit about himself and about Mongolia.
All right, thank you. That was a very nice speech. And I got this one? Oh, yeah. All right, thank you. So my name is Uno, and I'm an ophthalmologist, and as you can see in the first picture, that's me and Steph in 2019 or something like that. It was 5 or 6 years ago, and we were doing visual acuity test training for ophthalmology residents here. And visual acuity testing is like the very basic. That's one of the A's in the alphabet, and we were doing it wrong for the whole time. And then, yeah, and I learned, and in that picture I was a lecturer in a medical university in Mongolia, and I was teaching it wrongly for like 3 or 4 years since that time, and I was just noticed, all right, I was just doing it wrong. And keeping it myself, and people. And now, then, since I knew that, okay, I'm just a really bad ophthalmologist, so I need to pursue a whole different career. So I came here and studied public health in Macquarie University. And now I'm here, and now I'm working with Steph with this project together. And this is Mongolia. If you don't know where it is, it's in Central Asia, between Russia and China. And Mongolia is a very big, huge country, and with only 3.5 million people. And literally, if you want to meet someone, that's if we put the people in a land, it's like 1.3 kilometers from each other. Like, that's how small population and big country it is. And it's a democratic country, and we are very proud of it. And but it's a very child demography. There's a lots of things going wrong, but I hope it's just part of the the change. So, and it's a very cold country. And as you can see here, this is me and Chimge, the lady, a doctor she was discussed before. And we were doing a training on cataract surgery in the very far from the Ulaanbaatar, the capital city. And it's winter, it's whole snow, but the picture was taken in May, almost summer, yeah. It's just surprise, there's snow, and yeah, the weather is very harsh, sometimes very hot, sometimes very cold, lots of snow, lots of rain. You can't predict things in Mongolia. And here it is, and the first picture was taken at the Qovalte province, which is almost like 1,500 kilometers from the Ulaanbaatar. And actually, now we are teaching teachers, school teachers, to check the vision of the kids, because we don't have any optometrists in the country and a few ophthalmologists, including me, who doesn't know about a good visual acuity test. So, and the second picture, it's now the situation here in Mongolia, the surgery part is quite good. And actually, in Mongolia, we've been doing a lot of cataract surgery, retinal surgery, even refractive surgeries like LASIK and everything. But the optometry part is just left out. No one interesting the optometry, and everyone's interested for the surgery like a big thing because they make more money and everything. And just like optometry and glass, no one interested. And even in a university, or there's no profession or class in the whole country there's about optometry, and I think that's the main issue here. So the last thing is, the Mongolia is a very small country as a population, that if we, and also the optometry is kind of not hard to like make it better. So if we can just do a little bit of things right, and I think it's very quick to get some good results in my country, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's amazing having Uno and my team here. So it's brought us to the point, or brought me to the point, of actually establishing a charity. So I did this, we established it last year in September, and it is registered with the government. So it has tax deductibility status and such like that. And it's a fairly rigorous process to get through, but we've done it. And so that's been cool and exciting. I want to tell you about my organisation though, and just what our vision is, and kind of our principles and our focus as well. So the name actually has a meaning. Every part of it has a meaning. So the C, it is in capital letters for a reason. It's an acronym: Sight, Education, Enterprise. The sight, it's basically just saying that we want to get eye care and glasses to everyone who needs it, and also making it affordable, no matter where anyone is. Education, we're training the eye doctors, but we're also training the eye doctors who are training the eye doctors. And we also want to educate the community so that they know when to get eye checks and where to get them from. Enterprise, there's 3 parts to that. Firstly, there's lots of local businesses that kind of do services in eye care, kind of like our optometrists down the road. So we rely on that as well as the public system of eye care. And we're also wanting to nurture creative partnerships between different groups and organisations so that we can find ways to solve the particular problems of Mongolia with all the little dynamics that are happening within all the groups there. So creative partnerships, enterprise in that kind of area. The third part of enterprise is also just being interested in research and doing things the best way, and any new ideas, new innovative technologies, approaches. Like, we want to know how to actually achieve this goal of getting eye care to people, the most efficient way and cost effective. This is a bit of a summary of our strategy. So all the different aspects of eye care, I can't read the back. So it kind of summarises what I just said. So access, we want to get access, we want to make affordable glasses, we need community awareness, networking, advocacy gets all the groups together, and definitely so the training aspects as well. Just a little fun activity for you. Call out, what does it take, or who does it take also, to get from a kid who might have a vision problem to a kid with glasses? Who are the different people that we need? We need eye doctors, people who can test eyes. Who else might we need? Parents. Why do we need parents? Yep, to observe it. Yeah, so we need parents who actually know what to look for and to know what might be an eye problem or not an eye problem. Who else might we? Teachers. Yep, so we need teachers to understand the same kinds of things.
Polymer fabrication facilities?
Fabrication facilities?
Yeah, polymer fabrication.
Oh, okay, yeah, to be able to produce the glasses and the lenses. Yep, beautiful. Who else? There's quite a lot of players. Chuck it, names out there. People.
Oil refineries to make the plastic.
Okay, not too far afield. Kind of. Okay, this is a bit of a summary. So we've mentioned teachers, family, friends, community. People would know. Sometimes kids, you can't actually tell, so family and friends can't actually tell there's a vision problem at all, and you don't need to feel bad about that. So you need people like vision screeners, and you need good techniques in vision screening, actually, to be able to find kids who are hidden, and to find the kids with eye problems. And then we need the eye doctors, or people who train to do it well, to test the eyes and figure out what the actual problem is and treat it well, treat it as it needs to be. And you need the people who make the glasses. And you need people, if they're living remotely especially, you need people to get the glasses to the people, to the child. And when the child actually has the glasses in the delivery thing, you actually need people around them as well. So you need the family and friends again, and the whole community. And you need the other kids in school to know what a vision problem is, to know what glasses are for, because, one of the big reasons why kids don't wear their glasses is because they get bullied for it, they get teased. Or otherwise parents sometimes, I've heard many stories, even in Australia as well as overseas, that parents are telling their kids, why you don't need glasses, even though that, we might have said to them clearly. So we need to teach them about eyes and why, the impact it has and how it's going to make a difference. Because, it's okay getting glasses to a kid, but if we don't have all those other things around them, it actually becomes nothing. So the community awareness stuff is super important as well. And there are those other players, so frames and lenses suppliers, and you need the equipment to actually get the stuff done as well. So you need suppliers for that. And then there's kind of educational institutions like universities and other vocational training places, and of course government, and that overrides things. So all these things, it's a massive system that need to get eye care happening. What we've been focusing on is just training the eye doctors here to get them good in their skills. And we have also been training, these are the eye trainers for the kind of all these different people, so training people. So we've been training these people, the trainers who are training the eye doctors. And so we're also trying to upskill those people so that they can improve the training. So I mentioned before about, why are we training in this prescribing glasses? Like, there are eye doctors there. Like, what is the actual gap? And so it is partly, like, we have the eye doctors, but they're not, they're using this equipment, those auto-refracting things, and just prescribing from that. And so the glasses aren't great quality and people can't actually wear them very well, necessarily. So there is a training gap in the whole ophthalmology training. They study for 3 years, but there is no really good teaching in actually prescribing glasses, this refraction thing. So that's why we've been, they are learning lots of other things about eyes in their courses, but the part that is crucially missing is just learning how to prescribe glasses. And one stat in the world is that there's 1 billion people actually around the world who have vision problems. It's a massive number. And the scary stat is actually that 90% of those people is preventable or treatable. And that's kind of embarrassing, I think, because most of those cases, it's just that they need glasses and that they wouldn't have that vision problem anymore. And so, it's a really fundamental part of actually any eye care provider's training. And so that's why we're kind of really pushing to get it into the systems in Mongolia. And yet there's a lack of people to be able to service all the kind of remote communities, all the little kind of pockets of people that are needing the eye care as well. So there's people even in the cities, in the outer districts of the main city, which live in what they call gear districts. They still live in their tents, they've come from the countryside, and for whatever reason, whether they kind of had trouble with their finances and things like that, and they kind of come to the city kind of in hope of better life, but they live kind of in those outer districts, and those people really struggle to get care as well. Sorry, I don't have a picture of them. Okay, so impact so far. We have trained over 35 doctors. We have kind of covered the whole country. Sorry. Yeah, there's 21 provinces, and we do actually have a doctor at least in every province. And in the city here, so there's a bunch of them in there too, working in the different districts. So the doctors that we train, we kind of did some calculation from stats that they gave us, and together they service about 40,000 kids across the country now. So even in all those different provinces, kids and adults are getting, kids and adults are getting able to get care more easily, though there's still a need. Sorry, lots of words on that. So some quotes, I guess, from people who've actually done our training, just to give an idea of how they've felt doing it. I haven't done this just because I think it's a good thing. They've actually been the ones who've said, can you please, we need this training, we really want it. We've always had a waiting list for our course, because word has got out that they learn so much from it, and they find it really, just so helpful for their work. So some of them are even though I'm an eye doctor, I didn't know that I've been wearing the wrong glasses, so they'd kind of prescribe the wrong glasses for each other and themselves. Some of them, the training was transformative. So many of them have said this: I want to apologise to all my patients before for the eye tests I was giving them. So there's a big problem with, when people have headaches, here we might go to the neurologist and get MRIs and CT scans and all that. So often people are actually getting headaches, but it's actually just because the glasses have been made wrong. So there's actually skill in prescribing glasses, So that you need to have the right prescription, otherwise it can give you headaches. But it's also in partly making the glasses. So getting them from, the lens kind of blank into the frame, you have to do that right to actually have comfortable vision as well. So just making the right glasses kind of solves so many headache issues and just kind of can improve the system, like even just for the neurologists as well. So, and the kids the doctors are now feeling so much more confident and being able to, prevent lazy eyes from developing in some kids. So it's a lifelong impact of, actually, when you give glasses to kids young enough, sometimes if they need glasses, then it can actually help their vision to develop. There's kind of a critical age in some laws where if you don't get glasses early enough, then their vision's always going to be bad. So if we get them early, then they can actually get good eyes, good sight, and be able to see clearly. So this is just some things from patients. So one's a kid. There's a kid just saying after she got glasses, "I'm not scared anymore. I used to think people were ghosts." And she was talking about how she used to just kind of hide in her room sometimes because she was scared. And my wife left me because I stopped being able to see the animals and couldn't work. So this year we found out about the eye doctors in town, and my daughter took me in to see them. And now I have these glasses, and they're really thick, but I can see where the animals are again, and so he could go back to his herding work and be able to function so much better again. So these are just some of the stories that I've been hearing from my doctors who have trained and who've just told me about some of the patients that they've seen and who've been impacted by the work that we've done. This is just a little summary. We started in September last year, officially as an organisation, and just some of the work that I've been doing have actually done since then. So we've actually finished 2 refraction courses in that time. It was catching the end of one course, and then we actually reformatted our course into a blended online kind of in-person training, and we ran that January to March this year, and my trainers actually ran that for the first time on their own, and they've done an amazing job, and so I've been really glad about that. And we've done this new format, which means that it actually makes it much more accessible, easy to run, and more manageable for our trainers, but also more easy for our students to be able to learn as well and to fit it in with, because they still have jobs as well. So we've done that, 2 trainings, trained 17 people in the 2 courses. We've also been upskilling our trainers in kids vision, so our trainers are always needing to learn more because they have to, there are so many complicated cases actually in Mongolia and probably everywhere in the world, but I see them in Mongolia, and for them to know what to do with all the different things, they just need more and more training. And so we've been working on that. So we have some trainers, like the Professor Bruce that you saw a photo of before from the States. He came in, did some training and taught them about albinism and things where there's, kids have eyes that move like this and they're all the time and they really can't see well sometimes. But even them learning about this condition kind of helps them to identify it first, but also even just to talk to the family about, okay, this is what it is, and it's a genetic condition, and look for it in your other family members, and there's not, you don't have to blame anyone for it. It's no one's fault, and kind of get everyone's eyes checked, kind of thing. And so there was one kid that we saw, and we kind of had this experience, and we actually had time to ask about the other family members, and it turns out that there's about 7 other family members who had kind of something similar, albinism as well, and the moving eyes. And so some of them needed glasses and some of them didn't, but it was just very reassuring just to be able to say, okay, this is what it is. For the whole family, there was a lot of relief. Okay, networks and conferences. I've spoken at some conferences and workshops and things like that. So the Mongolian Ophthalmology Society, they had some annual conference and there was a young ophthalmologist conference workshop thing that was specialised. Special topic was refraction, and so I was one of the guest speakers there. So we're just kind of building our relationships and kind of getting to know everyone, kind of finding people who have to kind of gather around the same kind of vision. And getting people together. So we have also begun a workshop to begin developing courses in dispensing. So this is one thing that the eye doctors have actually been really requesting and kind of going, no, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do this? We really want training. There used to be some training, but it's kind of fallen over in the past 5 years. But this training in dispensing, it's kind of it's pretty much just making the glasses and making them right. So I don't know if you know that glasses just, when you go to the optometrist, you might just get handed your glasses and it's like, you bought some meat off the shelf in Woolies or something. But they actually, the powers of the lenses come in blanks like this, and you have to actually cut them into the right shape of the frame, and you have to actually set them right so that so you're looking actually through the correct part of the lenses, and everything things just generally have to be done well to see comfortably. So the doctors that we're seeing, like they've bought equipment and they've just kind of been making it up best they can, but they know that they've got patients who are coming back with problems with their glasses, and they know that the power is right, but it's just that they haven't been able to make the glasses correctly to fit them actually properly. So we're really that's one of our priorities this year, to get training happening there. So just fulfilling one more of those steps in that whole chain that needs to happen. Yeah, so that's just a sample of some of the equipment that they use to cut the lenses. So some optometrists might use that kind of here, but they might be a bit fancier here now, but often it's done in labs here now too. Sorry. Okay, so I've been running refraction training since 2017. Like the very first course was actually in 2015, and then there's just been like this, please run the course again, we really need it, and there was lots of enthusiasm. So I've been running, so it's been 4 or 5 years that I've been part of courses, and slowly I've been actually finding people to train to be the trainers as well, and I've always just worked with the local Mongolian eye doctors to be able to do that. So there's Chimge there, and we make it actually quite distinctive. It's actually quite different to the training that they have in the country, and like a lot of them just say how much they enjoy it, and you should include it in the residency training and things like that. So we're working on all that kind of thing to actually have it included in curriculums. But we do have our team of dedicated trainers that we are working with. We actually make sure it's super practical so that people actually have skills that they can use at the end. It's not just all theoretical learning, but we get them to practice. Say practice on kids, that sounds terrible, but we do give them lots of experiences in schools and in kindergartens and preschools and things like that. And there's always lots of case discussion and peer learning, which that hasn't actually been a big thing in Mongolia either. Like it is kind of typical Asian hierarchical, kind of the teacher normally kind of just says how things are. But they really love this actually. They love that they can learn from each other because they do actually have a lot of knowledge themselves. And so they teaching them that it's okay to exchange ideas, and I think that is actually part of our strategy in a sense, that we want to give them a voice to be able to make change in their own country and to know that they have a voice that's worth hearing as well. So this is just upskilling our training team. So at the moment, like these are some of our 3 main trainers, but there's others as well who we're pulling into the group. And one of them, she has really, really good English. So we've just enrolled her in a course with UNSW with studying paediatric optometry, just for a short course. So we're going to build on her to be able to teach others as well. Some of the knowledge even from our country and be able to bridge the gaps. And we're looking at, they're trying new technologies and stuff as well here to be able to test eyes. Yep, so I think I talked about this already, just the different partnerships we have, different groups. And so we've sponsored some of these conferences as well. And so with the Young Ophthalmologists and the Ophthalmology Society down here. So, what we're hoping to do this next year and planning is to develop that course in that dispensing area, making the glasses, and to be able to pilot a new course and then develop things from there. We want to keep upskilling our training team, as we're saying. We also want to support like those eye doctors that are working all over the country. Like they're dealing with quite complicated cases sometimes, and there's kids with disabilities and all sorts of different eye turns and adults. Yeah. And they have to deal with a lot of things, and we just want to make sure that our remote eye doctors are supported and that they can keep continuing to learn as well. So we're working on programs for our trainers to help them do that. So we're building our partnerships and networks, just talking with lots of different groups, including the universities and the government, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, looking into like there's other programs with school screening program systems and things like that too that we're wanting to work with. And we're still running the refraction course. So we're actually going to build the curriculum to improve it, make it even more accessible, and we'll run the next course in 2025. We've had a couple of our trainers have babies recently, so that's changed the dynamic a little bit as well. And we always will support subsidised glasses for the kids who need it, where they just can't afford things. So how can you make a seeable difference? Yeah, it'd be great, just chat to us. I've got my team here as well, so Una's one of them, and Dave McClintock has been amazing as well to have on the team. I know a lot of people here and outside of the church as well. I've been asking questions and doing lots of things to talk about growing this organisation and establishing it first. But anyway, any questions, please just chat to one of us. Love it if you can give, because it will really help us to grow the work and kind of fulfil this vision of kind of getting sustainable eye care into the country and be able to reach people everywhere, even in the remotest places. If you do have a skill, or if you're just interested to get involved and see, what we might need to help, like there are so many things that we need, like are needed just to keep an organisation running for one thing, but also just to, a lot of it might be just being able to communicate, maybe making videos or doing, the community awareness, teaching parents and teachers and community how to do things. Like there's so many different skills that kind of can be used. So like if there is anything that if you're just interested, please have a chat with us as well. And you can just join our network and just find out more about what we're doing and just keep in touch with kind of the things we're doing. So that's definitely an easy thing to do. And you can do that through our website. So go to seetogether.org. It did have some problems in the past, but it should be working now without problems. And yeah, most things you can actually do through the website and find out more information, connect with us and donate. Oh, that's that quote again. Here's this before we keep going. We have just created a video just about the work, so just have a watch.
багш айлар банд орж ирсэн. Тэгээд аав нь дагуулж орж ирсэн. Тэгээд ингээ шилт харуулаад өгсөй дараа тэр хүүхд амар юмац гаргасан. Вау гэж ингээ цамхмаа орчод гүгөөд ингээ хасаж байна. Тэгээд тэгсэн чинь аав нь бүр ингээд ийм муу байсан юм уу ингээ наад ингээ нулимсэн ингээ цээл. Тэгээд яаж сони юм бэ? Ийм байсан байх таа гэд тэр амар тодулсан.
Quite inspiring, do you think? One person in our church can make a lot of difference, and we want to support Steph in her vocation, but we also want to explore the way that each of us can make a difference in the world. Uno and Steph will be up the back, and they're going to talk a bit more if you want to ask them some questions about what they're up to. Encourage you to do that. I think it would be good maybe just if we pray together. If I just flick through these things. As Paul looks at people working, he prays for them. And so we want to do this for Steph. This is a prayer for her, but for all of us. So maybe let's just stand together and pray these words. Let's pray. For this reason, we are always praying for you, that our God may make you worthy of the calling and may fulfill every desire for good and every good work of faith by power. Now may our Lord Jesus Christ himself and God our Father, who loved us and gave us eternal comfort and good hope by grace, comfort your hearts and establish them in every good work and word. May it be so. Have a good week, everybody.